Have you ever had one of those quiet mornings where you sit with your cup of coffee, stare out the window and wonder, is this it? I did. More times than I care to admit. After I turned 65, I found myself slipping into a strange rhythm. Days blended together, and even though nothing was particularly wrong, something was definitely missing. It wasn't energy or health, though those had their ups and downs. It was something deeper, a kind of spark, a feeling that life still had. Something exciting, something meaningful waiting for me, and for a while I honestly thought maybe that kind of feeling was just for younger folks. But here's what changed everything. It wasn't a new diet or a big vacation, or even picking up a new hobby, though all those things are lovely. It was one shift in the way I approached each day. I decided to stop living by routine and start living with intention. That's it. Just that simple, but not easy decision. I asked myself, what if I treated each day like a blank canvas instead of another page in the same old calendar? And the results, they surprised me. At first, I didn't know where to start. So, I began my mornings with one question. What would make me feel truly alive today? Not what should I do, not what do I have to do, but what would make me feel connected, joyful, purposeful. And the first answer that came to me? Movement. I started walking again, but not the way I used to. I wasn't walking just to stay active or hit my step count. I began walking as a way to notice the color of the sky, the way the breeze felt on my face, how the flowers had changed since last week. I know it might sound simple, maybe even a bit silly, but for me, those walks became a form of meditation. I slowed down not just physically, but mentally. I let my senses come alive. It was the first time in years I felt genuinely present, and something beautiful happened. That little walk turned into a daily ritual, one I actually looked forward to. It cleared my mind. It lifted my mood. It gave me space to reflect. I didn't need an expensive retreat or a massive lifestyle overhaul. I just needed that one intentional act to remind myself that life still had color, texture, and depth. From there, I started layering in more of those moments. A quiet afternoon with a good book, a phone call to an old friend, not just to catch up, but to truly connect. Even something as small as making my meals more thoughtfully, not rushing through them like chores. The more I acted with intention, the more I realized how many opportunities I'd been missing, not because they weren't there, but because I wasn't really looking. So if you've been feeling like your days are just passing you by, I invite you to try this one change. Ask yourself, what would make me feel alive today? And then do one small thing to answer that question. Once I opened that door, even just a little, it changed how I saw everything. Now life doesn't feel like it's winding down. It feels like it's opening up. Once I opened that door, even just a little, it changed how I saw everything. Now life doesn't feel like it's winding down. It feels like it's opening up. But here's the thing. I didn't suddenly wake up and feel like a brand new person. This shift into living with intention was gentle, like a tide slowly rolling in. After those peaceful walks and more mindful mornings, something inside me asked, what else have I been overlooking? That's when I realized something surprising. I had been spending so much time trying to fill my days that I hadn't given myself permission to feel joy in the simple things. So I started clearing the clutter, not just in my home, but in my mind. One of the biggest things I let go of, the idea that every moment had to be productive. For years, I thought rest had to be earned, that leisure was a reward. But what I've come to learn is that rest is sacred. It's where we recharge, reflect, and reconnect with ourselves. I started allowing myself to sit quietly in the afternoon with no agenda, no phone, no to-do list, just me and the stillness. And in that stillness, memories started coming back. Moments I had rushed through, faces I hadn't thought of in years, feelings I had buried under busyness. It was emotional at times, but it was also healing. I wasn't just remembering the past. I was rediscovering parts of myself I thought were gone. Around this same time, I began keeping a small notebook by my side. Nothing fancy, just a little place where I could jot down what I was grateful for, what made me smile, or even something I noticed that day. Some days it was just one line. The neighbor's cat curled up on the porch. Or that first sip of hot tea. Other days I'd write paragraphs about how I was feeling or what I was learning about myself. And slowly this became another quiet ritual, one that helped me fall back in love with life. Because the truth is, joy doesn't usually come in big, flashy moments. It comes in whispers. It comes when we pay attention. Now maybe you're listening to this and thinking, that all sounds nice, but what if my life isn't that peaceful? I get it. Life at this age can come with loss, with loneliness, with physical pain or emotional heaviness. I've felt it too. But even in the hard seasons, intention gives us back a sense of control. We may not get to choose every circumstance, but we can choose how we show up in it. So one day I made a new intention, to find connection again, not just with myself, but with other people. For too long, I kept to myself, thinking that was easier. But the truth is we're wired to connect, even if it's just in small, meaningful ways. I started saying yes more, to coffee invitations, community meetups, even the little chat in the checkout line. And what I found was that people, especially those our age, are craving that same warmth, that same sense of being seen, heard, and valued. Now that I'd started walking with awareness, resting without guilt, and reconnecting with people in small but real ways, my days began to feel full. Again, not busy, not noisy, just full of life. And that brings me to one more powerful shift that deepened everything. I stopped waiting for the big moments to feel excited about life, and started creating small ones instead. You know, we grow up thinking that happiness is this grand destination, the dream vacation, the perfect retirement, the day everything finally makes sense. But those big moments, they're rare. Beautiful, yes, but rare. And if we're always waiting for them, we miss the magic that's already all around us. So I asked myself, what if I stopped waiting and just started celebrating life as it is? That one question nudged me to bring more creativity into my days. Not necessarily with paint or music, but with how I approached everyday living. One day I cooked a meal I hadn't made in years, just for fun. Another day, I rearranged a corner of my living room and turned it into a cozy little reading nook. I played music while folding laundry. I lit a candle just because. These tiny acts, small sparks of joy, made each day feel more like a celebration than a chore. And maybe the most surprising part of all this? I started feeling younger. Not in the physical sense, though I do have a little more pep in my step, but in my spirit. I felt lighter, freer, like I had peeled away years of expectation and pressure and discovered the me underneath it all. Still curious, still growing, still full of wonder. It was around this time that I had another realization, and it may sound strange, but stay with me. I started talking to myself more kindly. I noticed how often I'd think things like, I'm too old for that, or I should have figured this out by now. But the truth is, there's no age limit on growth, or laughter, or dreams. I began treating myself like someone I cared deeply about, encouraging myself, being patient when I slipped up, celebrating even the small wins. That self-compassion changed everything. I stopped measuring my days by how much I got done and started asking, did I enjoy today? Did I feel connected? Did I show up for myself with love? And more often than not, the answer was yes. You know, we spend so much of our lives taking care of others, raising families, building careers, helping friends, and it's beautiful. But at some point, we have to return home to ourselves. We have to ask, what do I need now? And give ourselves permission to receive it. And so, this one change, choosing to live with intention, didn't just brighten my days. It transformed how I see the world, how I see myself. It made me fall in love with life again. Not because everything is perfect, but because I'm present for it. I'm awake to the beauty in the ordinary. And that, my friend, is everything. So, if you're listening to this and wondering if it's too late to feel excited about life again, let me be the one to tell you, It's not. You are not too old, too late, or too far gone. You are right on time. The world still has so much beauty waiting for you to notice it, and you don't have to do anything huge to begin. Just take one intentional step, one mindful moment, one deep breath of gratitude,